Welcome to Gurukul Lectures. I am Dr. Kumar Shantanu from Department of Botany, Deshbandhu College. Today we shall continue our discussion on the various aspects of pteridophytes. In this lecture series on archegoniads, we have already covered various evolutionary and origin aspect of bryophytes. We have also discussed various genera of bryophytes, and we have tried to understand the evolutionary journey of bryophytes. We have continued our discussion with the origin and evolution of pteridophytes. We have also discussed the reproduction and structural aspects of pteridophytes in general. Today, we would like to study and understand the morphology, anatomy, and various reproductive aspects of pteridophytes with the help of certain genus or genera. We will do some type study. Today, we are going to discuss the genus Rhynia and Psilotum. So, as far as the group pteridophytes are concerned, they have been classified into 4 or 5 different classes. The most primitive of all the 4 or 5 classes is the class Psilophyta. In case of Psilophyta, it involves most of the extinct pteridophytes and also one genus called as Psilotum. Whereas as far as the first genus of today is concerned, that is Rhynia, the Rhynia was for the first time discovered from the fossils of locality called as Rhynie in Aberdeenshire in Scotland. It was discovered by Kiddstone and Lang way back in 1971. The fossils were so structurally integrated and they were so prominent that it felt genuine to create a fossil genera altogether and giving the name Rhynia to that particular species. There are 2 species of Rhynia which were discovered. One is Rhynia major and the other one is Rhynia guinewaugeni. Rhynia were found preserved as whole plants in siliceous rocks of the lower Devonian age. The remains of these plants are found in petrified conditions. The herbaceous plant body of Rhynia consisted of subterranean, prostrate, cylindrical and dichotomously branched rhizome, which has dichotomously branched leafless aerial shoots. You can very well see in the diagram that plant body consists of a prostrate, cylindrical and dichotomously branched stem-like structure called as rhizome, and from these rhizome arises dichotomously branched leafless aerial shoots. The aerial shoots of Rhynia major were estimated to be 50 centimeter long and 6 millimeter in diameter, and those of Rhynia guinewaugeni were comparatively smaller. The plant in general lack roots, but you can see in the diagram there are a tuft of rhizoids which were present on the lower portion of the rhizome. These are supposed to be helping this rhizome in anchorage and absorption of minerals from the substratum. Many adventitious branches were found on the rhizome, and aerial shoots were also found, and they were probably means of vegetative propagation. The outermost layer forms the epidermis of thick walled cells, which had a thick layer of cuticle also. The aerial shoots had stomata with two guard cells surrounded by many subsidiary cells. The cortex is distinguished into an outer and an inner region. The outer zone consisted of 1 to 4 layers of compactly arranged angular parenchymatous cells. So, as far as the morphology of Rhynia is concerned, we could see that the Rhynia is having cuticle on its surface, and it also had stomata on the epidermal surface. So, very well we can say that these were one of the most primitive pteridophytic groups to originate in the line of evolution. As far as the vascular system in Rhynia is concerned, a protostele was present in the central zone of the shoot and rhizome, in which phloem surrounded the xylem. So, a typical pteridophytic feature where stele is found, and the stele has xylem in the center surrounded by phloem, and this was present in both the root as well as shoot in case of Rhynia fossils. The xylem was made up of tracheids with annular or spiral thickenings. So, Rhynia also had a well developed xylem, tracheids which has spiral thickenings in it, and the phloem consisted of 4 to 5 layers of thin walled elongated cells with oblique end walls. So, the presence of these spiral thickening tracheids and elongated cells of phloem shows that Rhynia has a very well developed conducting system. This can also be seen in the cross section of a fossil of Rhynia stem. Here, a central xylem cells surrounded by phloem is very well can be observed. Now, let us talk about the reproductive structures of Rhynia. The reproductive structure of Rhynia was mainly termed as sporangia, and the sporangia were present singly on the apices of aerial shoots. The sporangia were oval and nearly 12 millimeter long and 4 millimeter wide. The sporangium had a multi-layered jacket in which the outer wall is made up of thick walled cells, and then 2 to 3 layers of thin walled palisade like cells were present. So, the presence of multi-layered jacket and followed by 2 to 3 layers of thin walled palisade like cells also indicates towards some tapetum like structures. The innermost layer had small rounded cells which seems to be functioning as tapetum. So, for the first time during the evolution of terrestrial plants, we see some cells or some tissues acquiring the role of nutritive tissue. Now, we call them as tapetum. And there were many spore tetrads present in the sporangium. So, all the tetrads were of same size. The gametophytes in the gametophyte in pteridophytes is generally very fragile, and there is no information of the gametophyte of Rhynia. So, all the information which we could have gathered till date is with the help of the sporophyte of Rhynia, and which we could obtain in the fossilized form. And in this we can see that there is a distinct transition from very well suited, adapted, well advanced bryophyte towards a primitive pteridophyte where we can see development of cuticles, development of xylem and phloem tissues, spiral thickenings inside the xylem tissues or the so-called tracheids. There are multiple spores which are found, and the inner wall of sporangia, that is the sporangial wall, the inner side has acquired nutritive role, and now it is termed as it could be termed as tapetal tissues also. Now let us talk about Xylotum. This is the second genus which we are going to discuss today. Xylotum is one of the most primitive extant genus of pteridophytes. Xylotum belongs to class Xylopsida, the order Xylotelis, family Xylotaceae, and the genus Xylotum. As far as the habitat of Xylotum is concerned, the sporophyte plant body is differentiated into subterranean prostrate branched rhizome and dichotomously branched erect aerial axis. The sporophyte lacks root. Water absorption is performed by large rhizoids borne on rhizome. The rhizomes commonly have mycorrhizal association, and this is commonly found in case of Xylotum. Also, the aerial shoots lack true leaves, and they may bear scale like or small leaf like appendages. The vascular cylinder consists of central solid core of xylem surrounded by phloem, which consists of thin walled vertically elongated living cells. So in this case we can also see that phloem is more occupied by vertically elongated living cells. There is also complete absence of pith and cambium, and thus there is no secondary growth which is observed in case of Xylotum. The genus Xylotum is represented by two species, Xylotum nudum and Xylotum flaccidum. The plant of Xylotum nudum is generally 20 centimeter high, and sometimes if the nutrient conditions are good, it could grow up to a height of 100 centimeters. The plant body has a basal underground rhizome and an erect hanging green aerial shoots. The roots are generally absent, and a large number of filamentous, long, thin, and 1 to 3 cells, brown rhizoids are found. The roots are absent because they disintegrate during the early stages of development only, and they are replaced by rhizoids which help in anchorage and absorption of water and nutrients from the substratum. Diagrammatically, we can see a Xylotum which has a prostrate or subterranean rhizome. From these rhizome grow a tuft of rhizoids. From the nodal positions of rhizome, aerial branches arise which are dichotomously branched, and on these aerial branches small pointed leaf like structures are found. On the axil of these pointed leaves are found a sporangium. In case of Xylotum, the sporangium is fused, and the fused sporangium, they are collectively called as synangia. Now, as far as the plant body is considered, the shoot arises from rhizomatous branches which turn upwards. Aerial shoots are green and dichotomously branched. The basal portion of aerial shoot is multi-angular, whereas the upper portion is triangular. The aerial shoots bears spirally arranged minute scale-like leaves. The aerial shoot is photosynthetic and the leaves lack any vasculature. In this diagram, we can see that the lower portion of the aerial stem, they are multi-angular, whereas the younger stems, the younger aerial shoot, they are triangular in their outline, and on this green sporangia, synangia are born. The stem is green in nature, that means they do perform photosynthesis and they also have stomata on their outer epidermis. The leaves are very young, very pointed, very small, and they do not have any vascular supply. Now let us talk about the anatomy of Xylotum genus. Let us first talk about the rhizomes in Xylotum. The rhizome is circular in outline in its transverse section view. The rhizome consists of outermost epidermis with cuticle, followed by broad zone of cortex encircled by endodermis. A few cells elongate to produce 1 to 2 3-celled rhizoids. In the mature cortex of rhizome, it is divided into 3 zones. The outer cortex consists of thin-walled parenchymatous cells with hyphae of endophytic mycorrhizal fungus. The cells of middle cortex possess abundant starch grains. The innermost cortex is 2 to 4 layered and consists of thin-walled cells which has a deposition of phloem. It is a substance formed by oxidation and condensation of tannins. The endodermis surrounds the central stele and the endodermal cells show distinct Casparian strips. So as far as the anatomy of rhizome is concerned, the cortex can have 3 distinct zones. The outer zone has infestation of mycorrhiza. The middle one can be termed as the storage zone, whereas the inner one has some tannin depositions. In case of rhizome of Xylotum, we also see a layer of cells called as endodermis. Endodermis has a distinct Casparian strip. If we could recall, endodermis is one layer which helps the plant root or plant stem to compartmentalize the cortical tissues from the stele, and the only connection between these two sections are the Casparian strips. So for the first time we have the evolution and advent of Casparian strips in the anatomy of terrestrial land plant. This can be seen through with the help of a diagram where we can see that the outermost layer has mycorrhizal hyphae, the middle one has storage region, and the inner one has some tannin depositions. As far as the aerial stem is considered, it is usually triangular in outline, and the cuticle is thick. Epidermis is made up of rectangular cells with which are thickened and the outer tangential walls. Many sunken stomatas are also present on the longitudinal furrows. In case of aerial stem, the cortex is once again divided into outer, middle and inner cortex. The outer cortex is 2 to 5 cells broad and consists of chlorophyllos parenchymatous cells, which has stomata, also helps in photosynthesis. You can see the cross section of Xylotum aerial shoot. As far as the leaf anatomy is concerned, the leaf has a single layered cuticularized epidermis which encloses chloroenchymatous mesophils, and you can very clearly see that they lack any kind of vascular supply, and they also lack any stomata in them. Reproduction in Xylotum takes place with the help of minute void multicellular outgrowths which arise on the rhizome. Sometimes we also call them gemma or brood bodies. Sexual reproduction takes place in Xylotum with the help of spores, which are produced inside the specialized trilobed structures called as synangia or sporangia. The synangia are borne on the axils of bilobed foliar leaves on the upper portion of aerial branches and are spirally arranged. Each mature sporangium is trilobed and consists of 3 structure fused locules. The wall of synangium is 3 to 4 layered, and epidermis has thick walled cells. The inner layer extends to form septa, which separates the 3 locules. Each locule has a large number of bean-shaped spores. You can see the 3 different locules with the help of this diagram. Here only 2 locules are seen because it's a longitudinal section. In each locule, spores are formed, and these synangia are formed on the axils of leaf innations. The gametophytic generation in case of Xylotum starts with haploid spores. The spores are of uninucleate and bilateral symmetry. Spores germinate very slowly and takes about 3 to 4 months. The spores absorb water and then they swell. The exine ruptures along the linear scar and entine comes out to form a tube. The mature prothallus is cylindrical and dichotomously branched structure of about 20 mm long or up to 2 mm in diameter. It remains subterranean in the crevices of the rock or on the tree trunks. Rhizoids arise from the surface of prothallus, short filamentous and 2 to 3 celled, and the prothallus is associated with endophytic fungi or mycorrhizal association, which leads to saprophytic mode of nutrition. And on these gametophytes are born Antheridia and also Archegonia. These Antheridia or Archegonia are born on the same gametophyte, and they mature at different times, so they are temporarily separated from each other. And the spermatozoites in case of Xylotum is coiled and it has multiple cilia, and these ciliated structures, if you could see, they have multiple ciliated structure and they are coiled, and they swim to the water source and reach to the archegonium and fertilize the egg and gives rise to the first sporophytic generation, that is zygote, which forms embryo, and then the sporophytic generation is formed. So in this way we have seen the entire life cycle of Xylotum, which alternates between the gametophytic phase and the sporophytic phase. The sporophytic phase predominates the entire life cycle in case of Xylotum. So I have covered Rhynia and Xylotum in this lecture. I hope you could have understood the various aspects of structure, morphology, anatomy and reproduction with the help of these genetic genus type studies. Thank you so much.